sending me videos to watch. And I said, hey, why can't I do this? And wanted to start it to kind of share a little bit of my background and my story, and tried to do that a little bit, but all the videos flopped, and then decided to kind of show what it was like to be in the industry, and slowly built up to the point now where I'm doing all these silly food related videos. So it's just been a whirlwind.
Yeah. Tell about that account, because you have over 1 million followers now. Is that right?
Yeah, we just hit 1.5 million yesterday, actually. It's it's wild. So first thing that hit, I was doing voicemails for people, which a lot of voice actors on the app actually do. What'll happen is somebody will comment, "Your voice is great. Will you do me a voicemail for Jeremy?" And of course, sure, I'll do a voice. And then, obviously other people will come and comment in on that. So I built up about, 30,000 followers on that. You hit a wall because it takes a lot of time to create different voicemails for people. And so I started doing reaction videos to food and to sporting events and things like that. And people laughed at them. And a couple of them hit pretty big. A couple of them had 1 million views. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to do this now. It's a lot easier to react to a 30-second video than it is to me to plan out a script for 90 seconds and then try to record it. So it went off there. And then one day in November of last year, I, on a whim, reacted to some mother or wife making a lunchbox for her husband or her son or her children. I think it was her husband. And it was a Russian woman. And the video, I don't know, hit 400,000 views. And I got an email or a DM from somebody on TikTok. It was a content creator bigger than me that said, you need to do more of these. And I was like, all right. So started doing more, and then had one hit 1 million, had one hit 10 million, had one hit 12 million. And so I was like, well, we're onto something here. And so then I became the lunchbox reviews guy. And one thing I realized is that you don't get to say whether you're famous or not, other people do. And B, you don't get to choose what makes you famous. I mean, you do, but you don't necessarily, look, Rick Astley's always going to be the never going to give you up guy. No matter what he does in his life, he'll always be that guy. And for whatever reason, my epitaph is probably going to read Lunchbox Reviews. That's what it's going to say.
So there was part, we talk a lot about strategy in this class. And it seems to me you had some strategy in the sense that you found your way to TikTok. You knew what your strengths were, your voice, your sense of humor, et cetera. But you still had to be open enough to kind of do that real-time social media listening to figure out through the data what was going to be the sort of the sticky content that you could go with.
Spot on. So first of all, I had no idea what I was doing. I was throwing darts in the dark. That said, I'm a very good listener and very attentive, and I try to take lessons from other people. And so what I did was I went to a bunch of content creators who were similar to me, and I didn't take a look at their content per se, but how they created their content. What did they do with their videos in the first 3 seconds to catch people? How were they filming? What lighting were they using? Were they doing a lot of cut scenes? Were they doing a lot of, was it a lot of 2 seconds, bam, 2 seconds, bam, 2 seconds, bam? Or was there a lot of long extended scenes? And there weren't. So, going to a lot of those and seeing a lot of that kind of stuff and taking note of it, I realized what you had to do. You had to catch people in the first 1.8 to 3 seconds. And from there, you had to keep them going. Because on TikTok, the algorithm has changed so much so now, the likes don't matter. Shares don't matter. Comments don't matter. I mean, as much as the weight that's put into watching a video to completion, the length of the video that's watched. And so to answer your question, I had no direction other than, look, I wasn't going to fail. And once I got to the point where I had about 100K, I was like, I'm going to see this through. I'm going to see how long I could ride this train. And you're number one, you're not going to be a fan. Everybody's not going to be a fan of you. You're going to have some people who are going to call your content cringy. There's going to be people who are going to say you're stupid and all these other things. But those comments are weighed down 100 to 1, if not 1,000 to 1 by people who support you. So, but yes, to answer your question, I didn't have a plan, but paid attention, opened my eyes, and took everything in as much as I could, and as quickly as I could.
And you also have a published book, a successful book, right?
Yes, self-published. I did pitch it around to you name a publisher in San Francisco or Brooklyn or Manhattan, and I pitched it to them. The problem was it was the middle of the pandemic, and so did everybody else. And so I got a few responses that wanted to actually read the book or read the manuscript, and I sent it off to them and got some good comments, but nobody wanted to take it for whatever reason. Now, understand this is before I had ever got any account on TikTok. I was just some local NPR host in Nebraska, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but released the book. Book's about my childhood. It's a memoir about where I came from and growing up in the foster care system in Nebraska, and all the stuff I went through, and it's affected many people. And what I've learned was I wanted to tell that story on TikTok, but I didn't hit it big because of that story, but hitting it big elsewhere on TikTok for other reasons, I've then been able to come back through a back door and say, hey, look, just like Robin Williams and all these other comedians, a lot of funny people have tough stories. They use their trauma through humor, right? They cope with their trauma through humor, and I'm no different than that. I'm not trying to compare myself to Robin Williams by any means, but it's similar in how we cope with trauma, and been able to reach a lot of people with that. People in India and Japan and Australia and the British Isles and Sweden and Brazil have read my book. So it's gone all over the world, and right now my agent is actually trying to repitch it to some big places and hopefully see if we can get a bite on it.
So has your celebrity status on TikTok led to new opportunities to monetize in all aspects of your work?
Oh, yes. So I've had brand deals, offers. I've turned down about 99 of them, and I've only accepted one, which was a brand deal from, I'm sure you saw on Facebook, by Nissin, which is the brand that creates the cup of noodles, and they had a hot spicy noodle the product they had just released, and they wanted me to try it and paid me $1,000 to do a 60-second video, one video, and all I had to do was put a link in my bio for a week, and I got $1,000. So there's been a lot of that. Brand deals aren't the crux of it. There's, you get money for views through the Creator Fund on TikTok. You get money from donations through TikTok. I'm also on Instagram. I've got about 100K followers on Instagram. And, when you go live on there, you get money through donations there as well. You get money for views through what they call IGTV, which are longer form, like YouTube type videos. I am not yet monetized on YouTube. I've only got about 2,700 subs, but we're slowly building up there. Facebook in the last week, 10 days, Dr. Lipschultz, I've went from about 600 fans or followers to 3,100. I've started posting reels, which obviously Facebook and Instagram are intertwined, but I've started posting those reels through Facebook. And I've had one hit 2 million views. I had a couple others hit 900,000 views. So folks are being able to see me there. So TikTok's the younger crowd. Instagram's the median age crowd, 18 to about 25. And then Facebook's obviously the older demographic. So trying to swing at all of them. But to answer your question in short, yes, there is a monetary value and benefit to all this. That said, it is to the point now where I could potentially quit my job and do this full time, but I enjoy radio and I want to make sure it's more solid before I try to jump off the cliff, so to speak.
You seem to me to really embrace what I would call being an entrepreneur. I'm teaching this media entrepreneurship workshop in our new January term. And I feel like you've really explored in an open way. Do you see yourself as an entrepreneur?
I own an LLC, so in that sense, sure. But I guess I never thought of it that way. It took me a long time to accept the fact that I was a content creator. I was just some guy doing silly videos, right? But I guess in that sense, I am an entrepreneur. I'm trying to find my footing in this new world where a lot of folks don't even accept content creators as a job. I mean, you could talk all day about certain platforms online that folks receive subs from that probably how do I touch this? Aren't socially acceptable in certain locations, but that's still a job. And some people don't see it that way. It's similar, different, but similar. When it comes to being a content creator on TikTok or Instagram or anywhere else, some people just think of some guy that's doing videos. It's not a job, but it takes time and people find value in it. So there's definitely something to be said about that.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem to me that your brand, which is getting stronger by the day, at some point becomes its own kind of media brand, that, media business. You mentioned how many endorsement, sponsorship kind of things you've turned down for whatever reasons. But I would think over time there'd be more of those opportunities based on your trajectory.
Well, hopefully. And I think a part of that is being able to prove yourself multi-platform. Lots of people have a lot of followers on TikTok, and TikTok isn't weighted as heavily as Instagram. So if the 100,000 followers on Instagram is more important than having 1 million on TikTok, I can definitely tell you that. And that's from the perspective of brands, from the perspective of companies looking in and wanting to make a deal with you. A lot of these companies are doing what they're calling reel deals, REEL. So deals through Instagram Reels. They want you to post their product and put it through Reels. And the pay is a lot better on Instagram, by the way, as well. When it comes to views, you get paid about $20 to $30 for 30,000 views on Insta, and it's about $25 for 1 million views on TikTok. So it's pretty skewed. But a lot of the reason I turned down a lot of those deals was it just didn't fit my brand. Somebody wanted me to do a Sensi, or somebody wanted me to do, car stuff, or, a cooler. Like, I could pitch those things, but I wanted to only do a brand deal of something I love, I believe in, and I myself will use, because I don't want to be the guy that sells out for the highest bidder for a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense. I've seen a lot of people do that and fail miserably through TikTok and Instagram. So the hope is yes, the brand continues to grow, and I've signed with an agency, and they're definitely helping me on all the back end stuff. So all I have to focus on is content creation. So that takes a lot of the weight off my chest when it comes to that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I applaud the way that you've approached it, because I think it makes good business sense. But last hour we were talking about ethics. I think it makes ethical sense too, to stick to that you believe in. It just makes it a whole lot easier down the road. I'd like to open it up to the students, because I know some of them must have questions. So what do you want to ask Brandon? Jesse?
I've seen a lot of creators on TikTok specifically talking about getting like censored for certain I don't know what you'd call them, but certain things, like if something's like explicit or something like that, but they're for videos that wouldn't typically be taken down or censored for those types of things. Have you struggled with that on your account?
Coincidentally enough, I'm currently on a TikTok ban right now because of a video that got taken down. And look, I create a great question, by the way, Jesse. I create content that is food related. Some of the content, Professor Lipschultz can tell you, rides the edge of adult content, but it's very coy. It's very under the surface. It's not in your face. And from what I've heard from the agency, it's clean compared to a lot of the stuff that folks are throwing out there of other content creators they've signed. But yes, I've dealt with that many times and many times over. And a lot of it has to do with the algorithm that they've created, because TikTok is growing so fast, they can't keep up. They can't keep up with all this content creation. And they've had a lot of issues that you can read about if you want to, about things that have happened on TikTok lives, for example. Terrible, tragic things have happened on TikTok lives where they obviously need to be a little more careful for legal reasons. And as in PR, that's your number one thing, is protecting the brand. So when it comes to what they're doing, is they're having basically a computer look at all of these videos, and it does it in a very elementary way. But if it notices, say, a flame or a sharp knife or something like that, then it's going to flag that video. I've had videos taken down for for dangerous acts. I have a content creator, friend of mine, who we both went to New York City to film a TV show, African-American gentleman, who he did a video, I stitched it, and they took my video down for hate speech. And I showed him, and he wrote an email to TikTok saying, hey, look, this is nothing anywhere. It's not hate speech, right? I literally was saying, you don't like waffles? Why don't you like waffles, right? It's about food. And so, but they didn't respond, and the video was taken down for harassment. And so it was what it was. You get so many strikes, so to speak, and before they'll take your account down, and it gets reset after 31 days. So if you're kind of a good boy or a good person for a while, it'll reset itself. But yes, I have dealt with that, and it's very stressful. I've seen a lot of my content creators bigger than me, upwards of 5-6 million followers, who get so stressed out and will do friend only videos saying they need to take a break. They can't deal with this. They can't do anything. It feels like every video they post, it's getting taken down for whatever reason. And none of them have anything to do with dangerous acts or anything else. And then there's other videos on the app which are blatantly dangerous or whatever, and the videos continue to go on. So it's like a hodgepodge mix and attempt to fix it from TikTok, but I don't think they quite understand A, what they have, or B, how to fix it. And they just got so big so fast. It's to the point now where it's like nobody knows what's going to happen. And a lot of creators are going to different apps with, various and varying amount of success.
It's a big problem, I think, across the industry, Brandon, in the sense that in my law and policy class, we look at the terms of service agreements on all the platforms, the end user agreements, and there's just there's a lot of lack of transparency and lack of communication. As you mentioned, you can try to communicate with TikTok or Twitter, and it's not like there's somebody you can like a customer service agent that you can sit down and talk through this. They're just not very customer friendly or oriented like other businesses are. And so it's I think it's an area of sort of immaturity in the business right now that these platforms don't do better at that. And there's also kind of this ongoing transition, as you talk about. I mean, we saw that with Vine, where people, had to make a pivot, as you're doing, like with Instagram right now, developing a new presence. So it seems to me that being flexible and keeping up on trends is huge in this industry.
Oh, it definitely is. Now, whether that's as a content creator, making sure you're jumping on the trends to get a little slice of that pie as they come through. I'm sure if anybody's on TikTok has seen that fat white guy who does the videos of pouring cheese on corn and then does the little dance, the little hand dance. Everybody and their mom was doing that dance on TikTok for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Or the one, friends with this guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the white guy with the glasses who does the drone videos, and everybody's dancing with him, and all the celebrities are now reaching out to him to come to them with his drone so they can film their own videos. Howie Mandel and a bunch of other popular artists and music in the music industry and in Hollywood. So you have to be aware of the trends and to jump on them, and then also not just the creative type trends, but also what's happening on the back end. You have to be aware of what's going on when it comes to the algorithm and how it's changed. That algorithm has changed so much in the last year, since January of 2021. It was so much easier for me to drop a video, and heck, within an hour I could have 80,000 views. And I remember one time I had a 1 million view video in 20 hours. And now that it may take 10 days for a video to hit 1 million, and then it'll go on for a few weeks, but it's just, it changes, and you have to be aware of that.
Have other questions from students? Anything you want to ask Brandon?
I was going to wear my UNO hat, but I decided against it.
Well, I had a question. Our students in Maverick Social Media are working right now looking at 7 of the rural communities that we've worked with in the social media lab. And as you mentioned, you're over in Iowa, you've been down at Lincoln. We're trying to understand, and what we've been trying to work on for the last 6 or so years is how to help smaller communities leverage social media to promote community engagement. It might be to promote tourism. It might be to promote small business. From your experience, what are the do's and don'ts in that area?
Now, when you say do's and don'ts, what do you mean? You mean in reaching out to rural folks, or?
Yeah, I mean, in that context, what do you think is more likely to work? What should they not worry about in terms of, they're going to try to come up with some best practices for these communities based on the work we've done so far, and we're going to have a website around that idea. But I think, on the ground, what do you see in rural America, in Nebraska and Iowa, that they should be aware of when trying to develop, say, a social media strategy or plan for them?
Well, it comes down to people skills. It comes down to reaching people. And in a rural area, it's much more important there than anywhere else to look at a person and to talk to them as a person, and for them to understand who you are and where you're coming from. I am in a situation where it's a little more unique. We are in Denison, which is, anybody probably doesn't know where it's at. It's about 90 minutes from Omaha, 90 minutes from Sioux City, 2 hours from Des Moines, 2 hours from Ames. We're in the middle of nowhere. And so KDSN is the station, the only station in the county. And we are the station that runs from about 30 communities in about six or seven counties. We are the place, the hub that they come to. With respect to the Denison Bulletin, they don't go to the newspaper for their information when it comes to community events or news or weather. They're coming to us. They're coming to us to understand what's going on in the community right now, what happened last night, what's going on tomorrow. And so we kind of lucked out. Now, that's not the same everywhere you go. A lot of places, we're a locally owned radio station. A lot of places don't have that. A lot of places are iHeart or, Cumulus or wherever else that they're owned by a conglomerate. But when it comes to reaching out to rural America, it's no different than anywhere else. Just, I would say, folks have to trust you, and folks are very warm, and it's a lot different than you would think it was. I'm from Omaha. I spent the first 30 years of my life in Omaha. Lived 3 years in Lincoln, and then I've lived here for the last 6 months. I've never lived anywhere this small. It's about 8,000 people. With the undocumented folks that live here, it's about 11,000, maybe 12. But we've got about a 60% Hispanic community here as well. So it's a lot different than anywhere I've ever lived because of how small it is. But it's in many ways no different than anywhere else. Folks care. They want to help out the folks that are less fortunate in the area. And when it comes to reaching out to them for small businesses, man, the bottom line is the bottom line for a lot of these folks. So they want to know how it's going to affect their business. And if you can help them, you're probably going to have to overcome the fact that you're coming from outside the community a little bit. But if you can show that you can help them, then they'll be open ears to that. Especially if you're reaching a younger business owner, which there are a lot of here.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've seen too. And I was talking earlier about out in Ravenna, Nebraska. There's a young woman who owns a flower shop who, when we were out there working with the community in their main street, she was just so far ahead because she was younger. She was comfortable with Instagram, and she was using that to promote her business. And some businesses have gone under during this stretch. She's been going strong because she had a good plan. And I think that goes to kind of this overarching vision of what are the opportunities. I was out in Salt Lake City to visit with my daughter, and she told me a little story. We were playing her Spotify playlist in the Jeep when they were driving me around and showing me town. I'd never been there before. And I asked her about a song that was on her list, and she said, yeah, this was a song when I was younger. This was really a little bit popular, an artist who was a little bit popular in like 2009, 10, and then it kind of faded. This band faded. And then there was a TikTok video, and everybody was dancing to this song. And now this group is huge again. So I think there really are opportunities, aren't there, to amplify and to really jump out there because of this platform.
Oh, there definitely are. And I think that goes back to, well, what makes a trend a trend? How does it jump? I had a sound that was the dumbest sound in the world. And what I mean by sound, for those who aren't familiar with TikTok, when you create a video, the video's audio is the sound for that video, and people can use it to do, other videos with just that sound. And the video was of somebody cutting open a piece of pastry, and on the inside was biryani or the long grain rice. That's very popular in multicultures. And the joke was, Oh, it's my favorite game. Let's cut it open and see what's inside. It could be A, B, C, or the D. And D was the most outrageous thing. It was a Ford F-150. Okay, let's cut it open and see what's inside. And then I said, oh, it's rice. I was so disappointed. This video hit 20 million views, and it was recreated to, I think, 11 or 12,000 people created videos with this sound, including probably about 6 or 7 dozen verified accounts with bigger accounts than me. It went multi-platform. I'm getting videos still sent to me from Facebook and Instagram. I'm getting videos sent to me. It was one of the biggest sounds on Roblox, apparently, which I don't play. I play a lot of games, but not Roblox. And so you just never know what's going to hit. And when it comes to songs, I mean, you remember that song? Oh, I don't mean to date you, Dr. Lipschultz, but back in the 1970s, Rasputin, the song about Rasputin himself, that was a huge song about a year ago on TikTok. Everybody loved the song. And the song was such an obscure, random song that was big in like Eastern Europe in the 70s. And it's a good song, got a good beat. It's got a good story. It's funny and it's catchy as heck. And it goes to show you, good music, it will hit big no matter when it is. Fleetwood Mac's Dreams was another one that was huge because of the cranberry juice guy, about a year ago or so. So you never know when it's going to hit big and when it's going to come back, or what's going to come back. What song is it going to be? There's so many songs that when I'm thinking about these songs that hit big, and I'm thinking to myself, why doesn't this song come back? It's such a little catchy thing. It could be used this way or that way. And there are content creators out there who try to make trends like that just based on sounds too, and so are just trying to bring songs back for that very reason, because they want to be considered the first person to do it. So there's definitely a market for that too. It's interesting to watch to see how it works. I don't think people truly, even on the content creator side, understand, they don't have the formula, so to speak, of what to push a song to become a trend. I think it's just the part of the wider zeitgeist of the moment,
Yeah, that's to me, the most curious aspect is that the sounds themselves become almost spreading like a meme based on how creators iterate from that, right?
Yep.
And make it their own. All right.
Very much so.
Is there anything else that we didn't touch on here that you think is important for the students to know?
Well, I'm telling you this, if you have in the back of your mind to create content, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or a blog or a vlog or anything you want to do, whether it's a podcast or anything at all, do it. I have so many people who ask me, what do I need to do? How am I going to get good at it? You get good at it by doing it. So just do it and be open to critiques, be open to criticism, both from yourself, your peers, and from random people on the internet who will tell you terrible things all the time. But also, sorry, I just got a text that threw me off a little bit there for a second. What I would also say is to, be willing to be good to yourself though, too. Have fun with it. The number one thing I tell people when they're creating content is to find something you enjoy and do it. When content creation becomes a job, it's no longer fun. It's like when I was a reporter. I used to love sports when I was a kid. I still do. But when I became a sports reporter, it changed the way I viewed sports. It was a job, and it wasn't as fun as it was when I was a kid, because it was a job. I had to pay attention to certain things and made sure I was in certain places at certain times, and got to have a checklist and all this other stuff. So, but just make sure you're having fun. And the people who are content creators who quit all of their jobs and sell all of their stuff or get rid of everything and just focus on content creation drive themselves nuts. So what I would say is to always view content creation, until you're the very, very top percent, as a side gig, as a side hustle, as something to have fun with, and everything else will fall into place.
Fantastic advice. So we normally store these class recordings on our Canvas site. Would you mind if I pulled a little highlight out for YouTube as well? Because you've got some great advice here.
Not at all. Not at all.
Fantastic. And I'll also see on Facebook, as we usually connect there. It's been a pleasure to talk with you today. It's been a while since we've had a chance to chat. I've certainly been a fan of your content on social media sites, and it's just great as a professor here to see you as an alum doing so well.
Well, Professor Lipschultz, I appreciate that. I will say this last thing is, whenever somebody I respect says that to me, I think back to all the worst ones I created that have the lowest, lowbrow humor